Okay, so now I'm gonna be doing um my review of Romeo and Juliet. Okay. Just grab notes. Alright. So I'm actually gonna make a separate video sometime. Probably tomorrow about Shakespeare. And his life, because he's a very, very important playwright. So look after that. So Romeo and Juliet. Um, okay. So some of the sources for this play. The tragical history of Romeo and Juliet was in 1562 by Brooke. And then there was The Complaint of Rosamond by Daniel. And then Eliot's Orthopoeia Gallica, then Nash's Happy with Saffron Walden. These are the primary sources for the play. Hold on one sec. Alright, so during the Elizabethan times, Shakespeare, theater was like thriving. It was a big part of daily life. There were a lot of theaters, and everyone pretty much went to the theater. So that's a pretty big thing. Productions of this play, they've been done for years on end. And there have been film adaptations, all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, this play was written in 1595, and it was in England, obviously. As to the genre, I will be discussing my theory on that in this video. But here's a summary. So the houses are fighting and Romeo's depressed. Capulets and the feast, and the houses, by the way, Montagues, Capulets, they're fighting. And Juliet's mother announces that she should marry Paris. So later on, Benvolio and Romeo go to the feast. That's where Romeo meets Juliet. So after the festival or the feast, whatever, Romeo waits to meet Juliet, and then there's the famous balcony scene, and then Romeo's basically talking to the friar, and he talks to the nurse, and then the nurse and Juliet talk. Later on, Tybalt is slayed by Romeo after he slays Mercutio, who's Romeo's friend. At this point, Juliet learns the news, and Romeo's exiled. And then Juliet's parents have a meeting with Paris, and Romeo comes and says goodbye to Juliet. And then she's told that she has to marry Paris, even if she's in love with Romeo. So the friar goes to Juliet and gets a sleeping potion, she tells her parents she's gonna agree to marry Paris, but she takes the potion knowing that she'll be buried, and then Friar Lawrence will send for Romeo to come get her. And so the nurse comes in thinking that Juliet's dead, and they bury her. Balthazar, Romeo's servant, comes to Romeo, where he's exiled, and he announces that Juliet's dead. And Romeo, heartbroken, goes to back to Verona, and he is met there by Paris, who's lamenting the death of Juliet. And at this point, Romeo and Paris fight, and then Paris is killed by Romeo, and Romeo drinks poison that he got from the apothecary, and then Juliet wakes up, sees Romeo, and then she stabs herself, and then the families find out, and then they agree to end their quarrel. So the characters, Romeo and Juliet, horny teenagers. A lot of these characters, they represent the four humors. We have, or should I say five, if you want to count Mercury as a humor. So we have Mercutio's Mercutius. Benvolio is, I'd say, phlegmatic. Romeo going from melancholic to sanguine. Tybalt is choleric. Can I say five? Sanguine, melancholic, choleric, phlegmatic, yeah, and which is alright. So the whole thing with the humors, with all these men, these represented temperaments in the times of the Greeks, and in each of these men you see a certain personality, certain characteristic, that is representative of how humans are. Text. Anyway, sorry. But talking about the play, so when looking at this play, I kind of view it as a satirical tragedy. Realistically, we don't fall in love at first sight, especially. So, I mean, that's not love. And, I mean, teenagers, they're so immature and irresponsible, and they can't that immature love, as is the case in Antony and Cleopatra. Romeo and Juliet's love is really based on eroticism. They don't know they have anything in common, other than they claim that they are in love with each other. Argued by, like, modern psychology, because Shakespeare would know nothing of this, but Romeo and Juliet did possibly have psychological problems. I would label Juliet as having dependent personality personality disorder, and possibly histrionic personality disorder. I'd actually say both of them have these characteristics, which is, I mean, I'm really into psychology, but they could just be teenagers, so it's hard to tell. There's something over the top about how Romeo and Juliet kill each other, after not having known each other for that long. In Paris, too, he hasn't really met Juliet, and he says he's in love with her. And while by Elizabethan times marriage was customary, Pierce's feelings could easily be dismissed as non-genuine. So, are we dealing with satire in the midst of tragedy? And are we now just more cynical as human beings? And yeah, the play is structured as tragedy. Most definitely, we can't dismiss that. Yet if we judge Romeo and Juliet's error to be passion as tragic, the passion as tragic characters, this play can definitely be interpreted as satire as well, in a sense. Another question reading this play, which is similar to that of Creon and Antigone, can we consider Capulet and Montague to be tragic characters too? Because in the end, they're the ones who lose their children, and they're the ones who make a recognition for their faults. I mean, they are the characters in the subplot, so they can be tragic too. And they had something in the beginning. They had children they were blessed with, yet their hatred towards one another precipitated the events of the play, where Romeo and Juliet, love between Romeo and Juliet, which was unrequited, just ended in disaster. So, and also think it's interesting why the Capulets and Montagues fight. We never really know, about that. So, how does this play connect with other plays? I mean, this play is centered around romance more than any play that I've read so far on the list. I mean, looking back at the Greeks and the Romans, their plays had very little romance in them. Theirs was more, they had marriage, but it's more centered around politics and revenge and tragedy than anything. So I do find that interesting. Come the time of the Elizabethan times, there was a rise in romance and eroticism and love in plays. Anyway, that's it for Romeo and Juliet, and I will soon get to Midsummer stream. Alright, bye.